good at all costs. That's why they, you know, they water their driveways. Just in case somebody comes over and finds dust on the driveway. Hey, that is terrible. Que bruta figura. It's like, oh, you know, go and get the fucking pledge. On the driveway. Yeah, so La Bella Figura is about looking good at all costs. In the late 1800s, my great-grandmother Rosina was at home doing housework when she gets an unexpected visitor at the door. So she has to let her in because this woman knew she was at home. But the whole time she walks backwards because she doesn't want this woman to notice that she has a rip in the back of her dress. So she walks backwards all the way down the stairs, she breaks her back, and then is bedridden until she dies 2 years later. And in the time that she broke her back to when she died, she conceived and gave birth to my grandmother Michelina. For real. And when I found this out, I said, Daddy, whose idea was this to get her pregnant? He goes, well, maybe my grandfather figured this is going to be the only chance he's going to have children, right? And I'm like, and the only chance he can, you know, take advantage of an invalid. When Rosina died, my great-grandfather put Michelina into a convent to be raised by nuns. So she was very well educated. And when she came out of the convent at 14, she was very eligible, and this banker in her town wanted to marry her. Well, because my great-grandfather didn't want the family property to go outside of the family, he had her marry her first cousin instead. First cousin love. Ooh, yeah. Grandmama Michelina was very superstitious, and she never took any photos when she was alive because she was afraid that if she did, she would die. So the only photo we have of my grandmother is her lying dead. That's it. That's the only photo. That's it, right? And there's actually one more where it's like an aerial shot, and it looks like my dad. It's like my dad in a habit, like right? She's wearing a hat. And you'll notice that her feet are tied up. You see that? And I think that was because they didn't want her legs to flop open, because they didn't want my grandfather to get the wrong idea. They tried to impregnate her while she was lying there vulnerable. So Michelina had 10 children with her first cousin Pasqualino Battellini. And my father was one of them. He was the 6th child. So imagine middle child syndrome coupled with the fact that he was the product of first cousin love. Right? I love you. You love me. Even though we're family. First cousin. Ooh, first cousin love. Yeah. First cousin love. First cousin love. Yeah. So because of this, my dad has a very peculiar worldview. I was watching this War Amps commercial, and it featured this kid, Cindy, who's 10. She's typing with her feet, and they said, meet Cindy. She's a war amp. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't think she fought any wars. You know? She didn't fight in Korea, or Vietnam, or Iraq. She's not a war amp, she's just an amp. Okay? Just an amp. You can't piggyback on the war vets, man. They fought hard to get their limbs blown off. Right? Make your own organization, your own keychains, whatever the fuck you gotta do. You're an amp, not a war amp. Okay? The commercial should be, meet Cindy, she's just an amp. My parents belonged to this church in Woodbridge called San Padre Pio. And Pio was canonized a saint because he was benevolent and kind, but more significantly, he bled from his palms for 15 years. And the church calls it stigmata, but I call it hand period. It's about bleeding. And because of this, he's achieved cult status in Italy. He's like the Elvis Presley of the Roman Catholic Church. His hometown is like Graceland. It's insane, right? And this church in Woodbridge is the first church outside of Italy to honor his sainthood. So, for years this parish celebrated in a school gym, and then, because they were raising money for the church. And at first the church was only supposed to cost like $5 million, and then it went up to $12 million. And every week the priest would ask the parishioners for money. And one Sunday when I was there, he got really mad and he's like, you know what? He goes, I've been to your houses and they're nice. Jesus deserves a nice house too. I'm like, of all the people in the history of the world, I don't think there's anybody who has more houses than Jesus Christ. Right? And the Vatican, that's like the nicest house there is. Like, I don't remember reading in the Bible that Jesus was a real estate developer. But then again, he is Jewish, right? And you know how they are about their land? We want more land. We want more land. I'm sorry if there's Jews in the audience, but you know, it's from, right? You want more land. He also said this. He said that we need to make goals other than buying a house and a car. Now we need to make heaven our goal, because if we don't, it'll be the worst mistake of our lives. And then he asks the parishioners, will everyone go to heaven? No. The evil will be separated from the righteous, and the evil will descend into the furnace of hell with gnashing teeth. And I'm like, that is so harsh, right? Imagine you spend your whole life trying to be good, right? Not giving in to your temptations, whatever they are. I don't know, like group sex or cocaine. Just not giving into it. And then it comes to, it's the time where you're in heaven and you're about to meet God, but you don't know where his head is at because, he's a busy guy, right? He's got a lot of shit on his mind. And then he starts to review your past and he's like, yeah, I see that you stole a keychain from Boots Drugstore when you were 5. And you fed Tammy LaChance a mud pie and told her it was a chocolate pie. And then you told your neighbor Vicky McPhail that she was adopted before her parents did. She's right here. I told her she was adopted before her parents did. I thought it was my right. You know what I mean? Oh, the shit her parents are gonna have to go through. I'll just tell her. And I cut her bangs too. Like, be short. Shit we did, eh? I gotta just say this one thing though that we did. Vicky would go to the college up the street, and she would ask people to borrow 10 cents so she could call her mother. Would she take that money to buy Playgirl? That was the first dick I ever saw. What? She's like opening, I'm like, oh my God! So I just bought a house, and and before I bought it, I had it inspected. And the guy who came to inspect the house was like, this guy by the name of John McDonald. And I was like, could it be possible that this guy is related to the late Prime Minister, John McDonald? Like just the thought of dating someone with that last name, I'm like, maybe I have to finally become a part of Canadian royalty, right? Right? And then, so he does the inspection of the house, and we go into the kitchen, and he's reviewing the inspection with me, and he's talking about, I don't know, flashing and shit, and the roof, but all I imagine is those, like, big, meaty hands wrapped around my waist, just like, throwing me up in the air, pumping me down, whoa, right? And then he's talking about, like, wet basements and leaky shit, I'm like, whatever, just give it to me. Give it to me, Johnny. Give it to me, right? And then he's inspecting the stairs, and he's like, you know what? He goes, these stairs aren't to code. He goes, you see, I can stick my whole arm through between these spindles, right? Like, it was a longer arm than this. And then he's like, do you have any kitties? And my mom's like, oh no, she doesn't. She doesn't even have a husband. I'm like, settle, Mom. Real settle. But you know what? I was embarrassed for a second, and then I was like, but the cat's out of the bag, right? The cat's out of the bag. So then he gives me a was a $10 discount. But I'm like, this is a sign, man. This is a fucking sign. All it takes, guys, $10. $10. All it takes is $10. And then I said to him, like, hey, can I call you sometime? Right? You know, if I have any questions about the house. And he's like, of course, anytime. Even if you just want to, you know, talk about life and I can give you material for your stand-up. Right? That's what he said. So anyways, the next day he emails me the report, and I'm with Phil Lucy, who's my director and best friend, and we're chatting, and he's like, okay, he goes, you know what? Send him back a message, but be direct. Say to him, thank you for the report. Would you be interested in going for a drink sometime? And I'm like, I don't know, Phil, like, that's too forward, right? That's too much. And he said, never mind. So he takes my phone, he types in the message, he's like, here. So like, I skim it and I hit send. I'm like, send, it's done. And he goes, oh my God, why did you do that? I jokingly wrote, thank you for the report. Would you be interested in licking my pussy sometime? Because I had been evicted from downtown and had a shit landlord, anyhow. And so I went to move to Woodbridge, and I don't know what it is about Woodbridge, but it just makes me want to fight, okay? I just want to fucking fight, okay? And when I was in Woodbridge, the Toronto Life had issued an article about how all downtowners are moving to the suburbs, or some downtowners are moving to the suburbs, and the article was called Exodus to the Burbs, and it said, the houses are bigger, the people are nicer, the commute doesn't suck. Why diehard downtowners are moving to the burbs. And I gotta say, okay, after living a year in Woodbridge, there's a segment of that population that isn't nice. They come from the part of Woodbridge that I like to call the cunt factory. Just like one cunt after another big cunt, just a bunch of fat cunts running around, right? You know what, guys? Okay, so I did the online dating, right? That didn't work, so I'm like, maybe a herbal remedy will do it, right? So I read that this tea called Damiana, right, like improves sexual performance. So I drank it on New Year's Eve. I'm gonna fucking do it this year, man. Pump it up, right? So I drink the tea, and then after I drink it, I also read that it's meant to relieve constipation. I'm like, oh my God, this might not happen at the same time. Right? I'm like, there I am, like mounted on a stallion, just like giving it, just like dawn of civilization sex, like, oh yeah, oh, you know? And then I get a cramp, and I don't stop because I'm like, this is the best sexual performance of my life, right? And then I climax, like you do. And then I look down, and I shit the bed. And I look at the guy like, what? You don't like this? You don't like this? If you don't like this, we can't do this. You know that saying, don't shit the bed? Well, nobody knows what that means, so tonight I made it mean something for you. You should thank me. So we're talking about my friend Daniela who was pregnant, and I said, oh my God, I wonder if Daniela had her baby. And my mom's like, oh my God, I had a dream that Daniela had a baby that had a klepto lip. And my sister's like, Ma, don't you mean a cleft palate? Because that's different, the klepto lip. Right? There's no support for the klepto lip. No foundations or associations to help the klepto lip kid. Right? Think of the parents, right? You can't take that kid shopping Halifax.